Welcome back to another episode of Dust Boot Camp. Once again, I'm Nick Bogart, and I am joined by Alicia and Greg.
Hi.
And welcome. Yes. I don't know. Intros, they're always weird.
It's okay. We're really happy to be here. It's a fun show. And we're really excited because I am really excited because tonight we're talking about the Allies, forces. So it's going to be fun.
All right. Yes. Allies, near and dear to me and Greg because, well, we both play Allies. And actually, it's even more important because local game store here in Atlanta, Gigabytes, is started up their Dust League. And I'm playing USMC. Actually, I went out and picked up the Task Force Diver starter box set the other day. So yeah. I've got that running. Or we'll have that running for this. So I need to learn all the tips and tricks so that I can just go beat the pants off Jim.
Also, he's playing Allies for the league, from what I understood. So it's gonna
but he's really SSU. So he's a dirty commie that's sneaking in.
Yeah, exactly.
Love you, Jim.
We can't tell him that.
He does because he makes the face when he's on conventions.
That is true.
All you folks need to know is if you look at one of the Cthulhu monsters, that was the face.
Yes.
All right. So let's talk about Allies.
Well, as an overview, the Allies are a faction that is, I would say, good with everything, perfect with nothing. It's it's the first faction that was released with the Axis, obviously, but it's really the first one that Olivier created, and this is the faction that serves as a template for everything we release, and it's really something that is important to understand when you play Allies, is that you're going to have a lot of everything all the time available to you. You want some officers, you have multiple choices. You want some anti-tank options, you have a lot of everything. You want some flyers, you have them. You want some flying units that pack a ton of punch, you have them. It's really, they have spies, for example, and I insist on the plural because that's the only faction that has several spies. So really, it's a faction that is really well fleshed out, but it's also a faction that can be surprising because you have nothing that, at first glance, when you look at the profiles, will make you go, "Oh my God, it's completely broken." You will realize that actually some of them are really powerful, but there is nothing obviously, charismatic enough in terms of profile to make you say that really you need to play this unit all the time. You will really enjoy the choice that you have with the Allies because you can play any unit that they have and you will be efficient. Obviously, you have some counters that are more efficient against certain targets, but all in all, the Allies are really good all the time.
Awesome.
Yeah, inside the faction, you will have the Rangers, the USMC, and the Desert Scorpions. I choose to ignore for the moment the British Commando. Actually, I'm not going to ignore them, but I'm not mentioning that as a faction because the faction is actually, for the moment, cancelled. And we're going to actually put the British Commando inside the Desert Scorpions. So they're going to have new cards that are going to be released through our app, which is now available. Woohoo!
On iOS.
Yes. But you will have new cards also that are probably going to be put in a card booster with our next operation book called Operation Hellgate.
Okay. Actually, so speaking of Desert Scorpions and all that, I noticed that today, because I am actually looking at the site right now, on Dust Game, there is French Foreign Legion Heavy Kill Squad or
yes
team that is
Yeah.
coming out.
It's actually a re-release. It's a unit that existed already. Back in the days, it was called Legio Patria Nostra, or as I should say in proper Latin, Legio Patria Nostra. But it's a unit with actually phaser rifles, phaser SMGs, so short range, a lot of firepower, pretty resilient. Yeah, you have them with the commando head actually. So yeah, it's a re-release. It's available right now, and it's a very fine unit to play with the Desert Scorpions.
Yeah, they do seem like it. I'm kind of a fan of the SMGs. Though the interesting part is the SMG. Most of the allies don't seem to have they're more medium range weapons than anything, and the SMGs are definitely fall in that short range category.
Oh yeah, they're range 4, so it's really something that you're going to use. Especially with a slow unit that has only a movement of 2, it's really something that you want to use in a transport, and then you drop this unit where you need it. You have a very good transport, for example, that is actually from the Desert Scorpion truck, but it has a Ranger card. And when you use it as a transport for this unit, it can be pretty lethal, pretty fast. So it's kind of nice. You can really just move super fast, and then the next activation, you just activate the unit, drop them, shoot immediately because it's an assault vehicle, and destroy what you need to destroy. And you can wither a little bit of fire because with an armor 3, you're not completely naked in front of the opponent. So a good placement in cover, and you're going to be pretty safe for at least a round. So yeah, it's a very nice unit. I play it a lot lately with my Desert Scorpions as the French Foreign Legion, not the commandos, but it's really enjoyable.
Okay. So we're bouncing a little bit ahead, but I did notice that was listed, and they actually also offer the British Commando heads with it.
Yes,
on the site.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the shameless plugs for the evening. New stuff coming,
Woo-hoo!
Or re-release of stuff at least.
Yeah.
So we have the different factions, but we're gonna take and we're gonna look at the different factions inside of the Allies, and we're gonna start that off with the block itself, which is the Rangers.
Yes. So the Rangers are really the vanilla ally army. Again, a lot of choices because, well, the game is 10 years old, so you obviously had a lot of releases, and you have a ton of options for the Rangers. First and foremost, the Rangers have mainly units that are armor 2. A lot of veteran players will tell you that it's not worth it. And most of the time, the difference with an armor 1 is really, really small or non-existent. But at the same time, these units still have a little bit of more of resilience against certain weapons, mostly grenades and this kind of thing. So it's kind of an advantage. They are not really expensive, and they have a lot of weapons in every unit. You will have several weapons in each unit, several types of weapons. Either you're going to have a squad that is going to have some anti-tank, or a squad that has some flamers. Sometimes a mix of everything. So it's a good. The Rangers by themselves, the vanilla Rangers, really the normal units, are really simple to choose. You really build them as you go. They will also shine when you use them in platoons, using the faction bonus and these kind of things that makes them really cheap, really fast. So there's not much to say about the Rangers as themselves for their units. What is interesting with the Rangers is that first they have phasers. which the USMC doesn't have, for example, for fluff reason, because the Marines never have the latest weapon. So the Rangers have the phases, but they also have the spies, and they also have the very heavy tanks, the walkers. And the planes. So it's really something that you're going to use really frequently, even inside other factions, to complete your roster, so that you can really build an army that makes sense and that is efficient against everything. For example, even when you play USMC, you're going to play 75 points of USMC, and then you're going to use 25 points to add, I don't know, a bulldog, for example. That is always a good walker with a gigantic phaser cannon. That is really no joke. So that helps a lot.
Right. And I definitely know that. Well, I don't run any of the Ranger squads, but there is a lot of the heroes that are really valuable.
Yes.
Sergeant Victory, for example.
Yes, the only superhuman of the Allies, and one of the two superhuman of the game. The Sergeant Victory is really people are surprised by the low cost of Sergeant Victory, but it actually makes sense in terms of game design. Our game relies a lot on rolling a lot of dice, and it's really simple in its mechanics. And to give the impression of superhuman, of something that is really extraordinary, we chose to lower the cost of the Sergeant Victory to make it really powerful compared to his cost. That doesn't prevent him from dying stupidly, because if you use flames, for example, there's no save, so he can be a superhuman. He would just be a super roasted chicken. But chicken. but yeah, he has a lot of options. He's fast, he's agile, he has quite a bit of HPs. He has two weapons that are really good against infantry. He has the punch that is good against everything. So yeah, Sergeant Victory is something that new players, new ally players enjoy having, because it's reliable, it's comfortable. In terms of heroes, there are some choices that are actually, in my opinion, more exciting and in the end more rewarding. For a very close amount of points, for example, Rhino is a very good choice. It's a one-man army. He really can punch anything in the game and punch to oblivion. It's not just damaging, it's killing. So that's really convenient. He has Berserk, he has First Strike, he has Charge, he moves 6. I mean, you just have to, as I think we were talking about it last week, but basically you just move forward on the terrain, you put him in cover on the first round, and the second round, whatever your target, you're going to go on it and you're going to destroy it.
You definitely have a very good chance with Rhino in doing that.
Yeah.
And Rhino, and actually with Rangers itself, there's kind of a split in it, because it goes either heavy Rangers or your standard Rangers, and your heavy Rangers all have jetpacks, and they move rapidly around the battlefield, and that's one of the ones where Rhino falls in. They're all armor 3, which is the part that makes me sad, because they're some of the only armor 3 without any shenanigans. other than they can beat stuff up.
That's a huge shenanigan, though.
No, it definitely is. They can definitely put out firepower. It's always their survivability that. I totally get all the ideas around it. And that's the thing, is that, they're I like them. I've got a box that's dedicated to my heavy Rangers, and I have a list that I take that I like to play.
Yeah.
So I am trying to learn all the ins and outs of heavy Rangers.
Well, heavy Rangers are tricky. They are really powerful, but as you mentioned, it's really, logically, they are fragile. and that's how you counter them. Actually, it's really because they will need to rely on a lot of protection, extra protection, to be efficient. As an army by itself, playing only heavy rangers, for example, is really risky. It's really a ton of fun because it's an army, as you said. Most of them fly. The only ones that don't fly are the command squad, but you don't care because they're going to be in the back of the table giving orders. And the rest of the army has 1 million weapons and can destroy anything they attack. So they are reliable in offense. In defense, they are really fragile, despite the armor 3, and because you only have units of 3 men without any other save like damage resilient that other heavy armors have in the game. So you really have to count with that. But it's also counting on the fact that even though you play heavy rangers, you're not going to play full heavy rangers. You're going to play heavy rangers with something else. Either because you're going to put some ranger sniper teams, or because you're going to play vehicles. And the allied vehicles are, especially with the rangers, as I mentioned, are really, really reliable and can really damage all your opponents really fast, and then give you a ton of options for your heavy rangers to do what they need to do without suffering too much of a retaliation.
And, speaking of the vehicles, that is, so Marines have a lot of really, really nice ones. One of the ones that I've been aching to get and get on the table, I actually managed to get yesterday, and that would be the Black Hawk.
Black Hawk, yeah.
It's just kind of one of the... it's the one that doesn't have weapons that like all the others have. It has the Piet.
Yeah. They're short range rockets.
And it's I don't know. It's just a cool looking little walker too.
Oh, I call it the Ostrich of Doom. It's a very reliable walker. It's fragile, but at the same time, it really destroys anything that it targets. So that's really convenient. And it's really nice. It's really fast also, and that's really convenient. Playing it in a list where you have, for example, your heavy rangers allows you to have this walker that is always a threat against everything. So at a point your opponent will have, I think round 2 or round 3, normally, your opponent will have to choose either to destroy the Black Hawk that can really take down 1 unit per round, or destroy a unit of rangers that can also do the same. So it's really the same kind of gameplay actually as the rangers by themselves, because it's really all in. You're gonna rush forward, punch, destroy, and then wither the counterattack.
Right.
It's a fun vehicle. It's not what I would play with a heavy ranger list, but with a regular ranger, without hesitation. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those ones where you need it to have something that's, definitely giving it cover from far away.
Yes.
And has, well, I mean, as we've kind of established, heavy rangers kind of have to hide till they're ready to strike. Mm-hmm. So having something that, doesn't have staying power on its own isn't going to work. But, you put it in, and, later on when we talk more about platoons and all that, but if you stuck it in with a platoon of heavy walkers and all that, it's definitely going to be one of those type of vehicles that is extremely dangerous to anything that may threaten your bigger vehicles as well.
Yeah. And considering the very cheap price of the Black Hawk at 7 points, it's a vehicle that you will find profitable all the time.
Yeah. And it falls in that class of walkers that I call them all the chicken walkers. They're the little ones. All the rest of them are open top. This one's sealed cabin and all that.
Yeah, which brings actually 1 point of armor, an additional point of armor, which is convenient. So.
It is that 1 point can make a difference.
That means no more auto death on some some weapons, for example. So that helps a lot.
Yes, that going up to armor 3, that's always the one thing that makes me sad with the littler walkers, like the wildfire that comes with the heavy rangers, or the bushmaster.
Bushmaster,
yeah.
But we're gonna talk about them because those and the honey also that has the 2 phases are really, really, really good walkers. And even without talking about the platoons, but when we mention the platoons later, we will talk about diver and all that you can bring to these kind of walkers. So it's really nice. But
right.
By themselves, they're really, really efficient, really reliable, and dirt cheap, and that matters a lot. In a ranger army, for example, where everything is a little bit overpriced when it comes to units, you would be really happy to have these cheap vehicles.
Definitely, and I've built some lists for Marines and stuff like that where it's nice to be able to bring them because you can bring several of them, and they provide a saturation or a threat point.
Oh yeah,
and it is for the cost of 2 of them. We just said that the Blackhawk is 7 points.
Mm-hmm.
So for the cost of 2 of them, you can bring firepower on a level of one of the larger walkers, if not better, that helps to threaten.
Oh yeah, definitely. When you put a wildfire on a bushmaster, you have the price of a Mickey. No, not a Mickey, but a barking dog. So yeah, you can really do some damage. So it's really funny. Honestly, with the Rangers, what I really like to bring, so obviously for cover, some artillery so that you can pop smoke everywhere. But as I mentioned it, the heavy walkers or the super heavy walkers are really convenient also because all of them have smoke launchers. So once per game, you can put 4 squares of smoke on the vehicle and around the vehicle. So that allows you to cover your troops on the first round. And after that, you will have some vehicles like, for example, the Long Tom, which is a super heavy vehicle, and it will allow you to pop smoke anywhere on the table thanks to the artillery rule. So the super heavy vehicles like that can be really fun. You have the Punisher or the Fireball that have transport capabilities also, which again helps your normal rangers get where you want, or you just put a command unit in one of them, and that protects the command unit for quite a while because the armor of these vehicles is really insane, and because they have also dozer blades, they can just put themselves in cover for 1 round on the condition that they don't move. So it's really easy. You have some really reliable lists also where you play the 2 Fireball and, for example, the Fireball and the Devastator in the same list, and you put some units in the Fireball, and you have these 2 vehicles moving together. They also take advantage of a platoon, but they really move quite fast on the table, and they are really resilient. So it brings a lot of options to your army suddenly. You can also complete that, and these are not vehicles, but you can complete that with some heroes. For example, you can put the chef or the priest, which are spy, on the table.
Hey, chef!
Yes, chef, everyone's favorite.
Yeah, chef is a family favorite. So. But yeah, you can bring them on the table also and have them really bring a lot of pain in a very little amount of time and for very cheap to your opponent. They are both experts in melee, and they are both lucky. So that's really, really convenient.
So since we mentioned chef, and then there's also the priest, one of the other spy characters. There's actually someone else that I'm thinking that's a sniper. The spy rule. I don't have any spies at the moment, but I've been trying to wrap my head around it because it says you don't place them at the start of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Each time a spy is activated, you roll 2 dice. On faction symbols, you get that many actions, but you also have to place them within one of an enemy unit. So and you know, I was asking someone else about it who's, you know, an experienced Dust player. They said, you know, that you don't have to do the one every time because it says so in the rules, and then, you know, it's in the errata. I went into both of those. I couldn't actually find that. So every time I activate a spy, will they end up having to be within one of an enemy unit?
So what it means is that you don't deploy them through your deployment zone as usual.
Right.
Okay, these ones are not deployed. It's just that when when comes the moment of their activation, you roll 2 dice of their first activation, but they're still out of the table, and you need to put them on the table. You're going to roll 2 dice for each faction logo. You have an action. Okay, and when they are placed, they have to be placed in range 1 of an enemy unit.
Right. Understandable.
After that, you don't roll dice anymore. They are on the table and they activate normally.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep. And you know, that's what they explained.
Yeah. I know that Olivier answered that on our Facebook group. I don't remember if he put it in the errata, to be honest.
It didn't make it into the errata. I combed through it the other day because I'm like,
so it's something that we're going to add to the next occurrence of the errata, which should happen actually pretty soon. So,
yeah, awesome. I'm glad to
for ourselves
clean that one up for me. Let's see. So, I think we've hit a lot on the Rangers, and there's a lot that they do.
Yes.
Being the block, they are the Swiss Army knife of the rest of for the block. So all the other factions, because you can pull the units you need and maintain your faction bonus by pulling from the block.
The block really the part of the army where you're going to pick the options that you don't have in your other factions, and that makes them really convenient.
Definitely. So now we move into one of, definitely now my favorite because I'm playing it for the league. So you know, we can't, you know, we'll have to stop making them jealous that I've been talking so nicely about the Rangers.
It's actually Paolo's favorite in terms of miniature design. He's really, really happy with the USMC. He really likes them. So the USMC, I would say they take what the allies have and they push it to 11. Because they are extreme in every sense of the word. They are faster, they are nimbler, they are shooting everywhere at every range. They have all kinds of weapons except phasers. So really, they can do a lot of things. Their units are not necessarily super cheap, but because they're armor 1, they're obviously a little bit cheaper. But they still pack a lot of punch, and you have a lot of shenanigans with this army. It's really an army that Olivier built as a pun non intended, but as one block. They were really developed together at the same time, and you can really feel it when you play the army. It's really something that plays together nicely all the time. You can take any unit and you will have something to do with that unit, whatever you do. The heroes are really, really nice fitting together. So, and you have a plethora of choice for these heroes. So it's really a nice army that is really easy to play because it flows together nicely. So that helps a lot.
It definitely does, and they do have a lot of heroes and a lot of kind of cheap heroes. You know, the Rangers they're all a little bit pricey. Thinking Sergeant Victory, Oz, Rhino, all 10 plus points, and you have somebody like Crazy Jim, which you're almost crazy not to take him if you're running a vehicle.
True.
Pretty much doesn't matter what vehicle. You probably should take Crazy Jim.
Oh yeah, Crazy Jimmy is a very good pilot. It's probably I would say the best pilot of the game. So yeah, it's really a good choice all around. So the Ace pilot and the Crazy Jimmy ability will really help you make any vehicle profitable. I know that a lot of people, for example, play it in a Fireball because you're going to have this extra activation that's going to allow you to move your heavy flamer super close to the enemy really fast, benefit from cover without having to use the dozer blade, and then you're going to shoot something at range 3 because it's a heavy flamer. So suddenly your flamer that is range 3 is range 7. That helps a lot. So you can be in the middle of the table just round 1 in cover.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really nice. It is really nice. So it's a must-have for any USMC army that is a little heavy on vehicles. You can also use it in a Barking Dog, for example, the Barking Dog Light, because the 6 recoilless guns are really nice, but they have reload, and reload means that once you've shot with them, you're gonna have to spend 1 action to reload, and if you don't, you cannot shoot. And suddenly, because you have Ace Pilot, you have this extra action that allows you to reload and still sustain your attacks.
And that is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, your Barking Dog becomes really insanely efficient suddenly. So it's a 22-point combo, but it's really, really good. So,
yeah, if you're able to sustain fire. Oh, excuse me. Sorry.
Isn't it?
Thank you. But if you're able to sustain fire with because the Barking Dog is one of my favorites. It may be just because it has a pile of guns on it.
It is everyone's favorite. It's our best sellers for it's our best seller for the allies. It has a ton of guns on the turret, and that cannot be resisted,
And they're really good guns is the thing. The recoil, range 12 guns that kill anything it hits.
Yeah.
4 hits up to armor 5 on vehicles, and then
the Barking Dog, no, it's up to armor 7 on vehicles.
Well, yeah, no, it goes up to armor 7, but it's 4 dice. And then it's 2 on 6 and 7.
Yes.
Which, is one of the things with the allies is that a lot of their guns don't have that. And, a lot of their guns are usually you've got 1 or 2 shots, for quite a bit of the range.
Indeed, yeah.
When it comes to anti-vehicles. And the other thing with the Marines is that, and they said it in the lore, and you even mentioned it, as they designed it, it's kind of its own block, and they wrote it and they were like, hey, the Allies were getting together and they were forming the Grand Allied Army, and the Marines were like, you guys have fun with that. We're gonna go do Marine things.
Exactly.
And the hilarious part was explaining the game to somebody who was just kind of passively interested yesterday. He all of a sudden went, hitting that point, he went, yep, sounds like the Marine Corps. I spent 10 years there. Sounds exactly like something we would say.
Yes.
and I've known enough Marines that, looking at a lot of the stuff, it's like, yep, that's a very, very Marine thing right there. One of the other things in here is they are all really light, but you have the rifle company or rifle squad, and they've got the shenanigan of move and fire.
Yes.
Or move and shoot.
Yeah, it's move and fire. Yeah.
Is it move and fire or
Yeah, move and fire.
Yeah.
The rifle squad. Yeah.
So they can do a march move and shoot, or a standard move and sustained fire.
Yep.
And that's a really beautiful ability. Especially for a infantry unit that's light, and their rifles, they're range 6.
Yes.
And they've got a lot of shots.
Yeah, against infantry, they're really reliable, and they have they are surprisingly nice against aircrafts.
Yes, they and that is a big thing, is that they can reach out and hit aircraft.
Yes. So it's an expensive unit actually for the Marines, because it's 9 points because of that ability that is really, really efficient. But it's a unit that I think every single USMC player should have, because it's simple, it's direct, but it's really efficient all the time. It's really USMC in the spirit. So I like the rifle squad. I have a personal preference for the War Dog Recon squad, because actually it's a squad that I like to play with another hero in it, like for example Diver. Diver can give them a third action. They have Scout, so they're going to march move for their first action. Then they can still attack, and they have this. Then the next round they're going to have three actions, so they can again march, move, and attack, or move and sustain their attacks in melee. And the dogs are insanely good in melee. So yeah, that's really convenient, especially with charge. I mean, it's a good unit that you are guaranteed to cause a lot of damage to your opponent in short range. The shotguns are no joke also when it comes to shooting at infantry.
Oh my goodness. Shotguns are amazing.
Yes.
So the first time I used shotguns, I actually had was it my mortar squad, or was it the heavy machine gun squad? It was one of the two, and they have shotguns. And we were I forget the scenario exactly, other than I was up on a cliff and my opponent was playing zombies and they were climbing up the cliff.
Yeah.
And this demolition unit got up on top. And it was right next to either a large or heavy walker of mine. It was like the MVP of my unit because it was taking out everything else it was shooting at.
Yeah.
But zombies, they're a horde. There's a lot of them. And so this unit gets up, and they had demolition charges, and they were going to be able to charge and, blow this thing, blow this big walker up. I'm like, oh no. So that unit, they like grabbed up their shotguns, they turned around, to the side, and they went pow, and just made that entire unit disappear. They had like 2 shotguns. The entire unit gone. I was like, holy crap.
Yeah, 7 dice per shotgun, even with a crappy range. And when you're in range, it's really happiness inducing. The number of dice that you roll, you see the face of your opponent, and it just stares in disbelief. And you just roll your dice, and you kill whatever is in range, and that's pretty cool. So yeah.
It is, and it is one of those. I mean, it's a range 2, so it is really close.
But that's the reason why you want to put them with the heroes that can make you move faster. So you're gonna have Diver that gives you the infantry ace. You're gonna have Tom, for example, that has move and fire when he's on foot. You're gonna have Machete Mac also has Trailblazer and Scout. So if you can use these kind of things, it's really convenient. As I told you, the USMCs are really meant to go fast. It's really a deceiving aspect of the allies, is that a lot of people want to play them in the backyard, shooting from afar and these kind of things. But actually, where they shine is actually when they rush, fast forward, and then get in your face really quick. Because in range 2 to 0, they are absolutely lethal. So,
right. And so the other thing, and we kind of actually, hit it a little bit before when we mentioned the barking dog, and it's light. And all of their bigger vehicles are light. versions.
Yes, all the medium walkers. That means that they're going to cost 2 points less than the normal version of the Rangers, but they're all going to have 1 point of armor less.
Yes.
So that counts. That counts a lot. It's surprising the first time you don't expect it. You will be shocked because you expect a little bit more resilience, and suddenly you discover that no, you have no resilience. But it's also 2 points cheaper per vehicle, and it adds up really quick. And for 3 vehicles, for example, that means that you're going to add 1 more unit immediately of 5 Marines, like a fire squad, for example. So it's a choice that you make. Obviously, the Marines are going to be as I said, on the nimbler side, they're going to be more fragile, but you compensate by this extreme speed and the fact that you still have a firepower that is something to reckon with. So
definitely, and then they even have the good old Recon Mickey, but this is Recon Mickey 3, which even has a recoilless rifle on it.
Yeah. They also have a Recon Mickey 2.
Yep.
One that doesn't have the recoilless, but has scout and only machine guns, heavy machine guns. It's one of my favorites, to be honest. When I play my medium walker platoon, the Recon Mickey 2 is always in the list. And I try more and more to insert the Recon Mickey 3 because you don't have any loss in armor, but you gain an amount of attacks in every direction that is just indecent. And, I mean, really, a front attack with a Recon Mickey 3 means that you're going to shoot with a recoilless rifle, a dual heavy machine gun, and a machine gun that is on the hull, and you still have another machine gun on the side. I mean, you really, depending on how you angle your vehicle, you really are going to kill a lot of stuff on each attack. So, and the Recon Mickey 2 has a third machine gun on the right, heavy machine gun, and planes are going to be scared by this kind of vehicle because you can, again, because of scout, you're going to be almost in the middle of the table really fast, and you can really take down a plane or actually damage a plane really fast, really comfortably. So it's something to not treat with a disdain when it's on the table. So I really love the Recon Mickeys, especially for the Marines, because again, you have no loss of armor compared to the other light chassis. So you're looking at Frank right now.
I did because I have him. I knew I used him, or I'm not even sure if I have used him yet. But I know I liked him, and so I was like, "Why is it I like him?" Well, for one, he's got nothing's easy.
Yep.
Never gets under fire suppression, and that applies to the unit that he joins.
Exactly.
He has and stay down, which means that any unit that he even shoots at gets a suppression token automatically.
Automatically, yeah.
So, there's that. And then he has cheat death.
Yes.
I mean, if that's just not awesome, because if he's supposed to die, he can roll and he can come back. Granted, he's stunned, but, He
has 2 chances out of 3 to come back alive. So that's a lot. And he's expert also with his machine gun.
No, actually.
With his bare knuckles, actually, sorry.
Bare knuckles. So,
in melee.
But then again, his bare knuckles are better than the close combat weapons that everyone else has. That's a 1-1. Well, sort of.
Mm-hmm.
But, expert with those, and he can punch somebody in the face and make it count.
Yeah.
So there's a surprising amount of depth in variety with the Marines, even though a lot of their stuff is, doesn't have as much armor as the Rangers. It is a little bit cheaper.
Yes.
Cheaper,
faster, and same firepower. So it's really something that you can really, again, it's an army that is easy to play, easy to build, and easy to play because you really cannot make mistakes when you play Marines. You can choose the hero you want, it will be efficient. You can choose the unit you want, it will be efficient. And you can obviously choose the vehicle you want, and it will be efficient. My only regret with the Marines right now is that they don't have access to the hot dog, which is one of the medium vehicles with a heavy flamer on it.
Yeah.
That would be, even with the light chassis, but again, it wouldn't be logical, to have this open chassis with a heavy flamer. But it's really a vehicle that I really like a lot. But again, as we said, you can use the Ranger 1 and put Crazy Jimmy in it anyway, because it's a block unit.
Yep.
So you would still have your faction bonus if it's the only block unit you're using, and putting Crazy Jimmy in it can bring him forward really fast, and it becomes a cheaper option than the Fireball. So it's really fun to play.
All right. So we'll slide right from the Marines into the Desert Scorpions.
So the Desert Scorpions are the latest faction that we created. It's really different. The gameplay, Olivier wanted something really different when he made the rules for this army. They will have a lot of phases. They will have very light vehicles, almost no heavy vehicles, and they will have very badass characters. So the heroes are really, really good, all of them. It's a fun army. It's a hit and run. It's really based on the Long Range Desert Group, this bunch of soldiers that were sent in the desert to just harass the Axis army with a very light. In the real life, they had jeeps. We put them on Dodges because the jeeps would have been too small in the game and would have looked a little bit ridiculous on the table. So we had to put them in trucks instead of putting them in these jeeps. But it's the same principle. They went there, they had a ton of gas, water, and ammo, and they were there to just shoot at stuff and fly away as fast as possible to not get destroyed. So that was really that. So we have a lot of vehicles for this army. We have already 6 different trucks. You will have the mortar, the assault, the gun, the transport, the command. I think we have 5 actually, because with the 6th one is going to be in the starter set. It's going to be a different combinations of the weapons. So it's going to be
interesting.
Pretty. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. If I remember correctly, it's gonna be a dual recoilless rifle on a turret.
Okay, a dual recoilless rifle.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool, because the gun truck has the phaser in the recoilless rifle.
Exactly. So the recoilless rifle is going to be on a turret, and then you're going to have a ton of heavy machine guns all around. So it's something between the assault and the gun truck, and it's going to be a nice alternative. So the trucks have 2 main abilities. Either you're an attack gun, an attack truck, and you're going to have raid, which is a new ability that allows you to move, attack, and move again, but you cannot be reactivated during that round. And if you are a transport vehicle, you're going to have an ability called assault, which allows you to move your vehicle and still activate the unit that is in the vehicle afterwards. So you're going to be able to drive fast, for example, make a march move with your vehicle to really go deep inside the enemy lines, and then drop your FFL heavy squad, heavy kill squad, for example, that has a short range, but suddenly it's irrelevant because you just moved up the board, so you're where you want. So
right.
It's really a fun army that relies a lot on movement and a ton of phases, like really a ton of phases everywhere. You're going to see in the starter set, you're going to have some units, range armor 1. That's going to be the first armor ones for the for the Desert Scorpions. They're going to have either the regular brand guns or they're going to have what we call the brand phaser. So it's going to be really something happening a lot in the army. And obviously, as we integrate now Action Jackson and the commandos in the army, they're going to have even more phasers.
Phasers everywhere. Pew pew.
Exactly. You're not in cover anywhere on the table.
But you know what? Zombies still don't give a damn.
True. That's one of the assets of the zombies. But for the zombies, you have the mortar, so it doesn't really matter.
Right. So one of the unique, or mostly unique units is the Desert Scorpions Heavy Engineer Squad, which there is a Marine version of it as well.
Yes.
But these guys, I could definitely see you throwing in something like the transport truck to fly up somewhere, kick them out where they're standing right beside a vehicle, and they can use their power drills to just start taking that vehicle down.
Well, you're actually going to use your flamer also in your bazooka, because really it's the unit that when you flip the card is really enjoyable all around, because anything that is infantry 1-4 or vehicle 1-7 is going to get damaged, and seriously damaged. I mean, we're talking, for example, just on a vehicle level 7, you could go up to 2, 4, 6, and then 6 more, 12 damages if you hit everything. So that's kind of bonkers, to be honest, especially for 7 points. So indeed, they're slow. As we said, they're kind of fragile because only armor 3 with only 3 guys in the unit. So you have to protect them. But when they reach what they want to reach, you're going to cause a ton of damage, and they're going to be profitable. So it's always a give and take with the game, and this one takes way more than they give. So.
Yes. Especially, like you said, the whole idea with Desert Scorpions is fast moving. So you dump them in, and you dump them into the transport truck.
Yep.
And you're making somebody's day that much worse.
Exactly. And that's really the trucks are really the core of your army. You're going to build your army around the number of trucks that you want to play, and you're going to use the trucks that you want. Every time you take a unit, you know that you have to take the truck that goes with it, either because you want to cover the unit with a smoke, so you're going to take the mortar truck, or because you want them to move fast forward, and you're going to use the transport truck. So it's really important to understand that when you play the Desert Scorpions. Even the heroes, for example, Greg and Easy, is a hero that is really, really good in any attack truck. So you can put it in an assault truck. And my personal preference is to put it in a gun truck, because it makes the phaser extremely reliable. Because putting this unit in a vehicle makes all the weapons of the vehicle becoming expert. So suddenly your phaser that has 1 or 2 dice has 1 or 2 dice that hit on a faction logo and
right. So it has, a 2/3 chance of hitting.
Exactly. And because it has an insane range, you can also just sustain your attack, and then your chances of hitting become around 80%. So it's really, really good.
It definitely is. And, like I was saying earlier, one of the difficulties with the Allies is a lot of their powerful weapons
one shot.
End up being one shot, and you're sitting there going, "Oh, please hit!" And I think I was playing Axis one game, and I had a pounder that was shooting at this vehicle, and pounder's one shot, and it's one shot and one shot and one shot, and I'm missing, and they're hitting me, and I'm slowly chunking off things, and I finally hit them, and they went up. I had like 1 health left on my pounder.
And it's really a feature of the army is that your heavy vehicle will need a lot of investment for you to make them work. They will work, but you will lose a lot of HPs doing it, and it's really it's more a moral issue than a real gameplay issue. It's just that you have to be strong enough to understand that all your vehicles are going to get damaged all the time.
Yes.
So, and it's really hard. It's something that culturally, when you play miniature games, you're not used to that. You want your heavy hitter to be this heavy hitter that hits first and destroys first. That's what we're used to with other games. And even with other armies, because that's what, for example, the SSU does. The SSU brushes off a ton of damages and will kill you as fast as possible. The Allies are really different in that moment. As I told you, they're not excellent anywhere, but they are good all the time. And with the Allies, you will lose HPs, but your vehicle has 5 or 6 HPs. They will lose 1 or 2 at the same time, no more. And yes, they will hit only one die, but if it hits, it destroys. So it's really, again, give and take. And it's a matter of how much you give before you take. So
yes, it definitely is the challenge with them. But they have, especially pilots. They have a lot of fun pilots.
Yes, the pilots are good. They also, as I said, when you play, for example, the Desert Scorpions, you will have a version of Diver for the Desert Scorpions that is really fun to play. And you have another hero that is way different in the gameplay. And I keep forgetting her name, but it's Maggie.
So I was noticing in the app, she's kind of actually buried in the Rangers.
Yes, Maggie is in the app. It's our big joke. When you look at the card of Maggie, everything is wrong on it, apart from the name. It's really our fun card. It's actually a feature that we introduced in the app when we programmed it. Is that when the card turns blue, that means that there's something wrong with the card, and then everything turns wrong to really make it obvious that there's something wrong with the card. And this one is really wrong in every way. You just passed it a little bit, but it's right there. Yep. And actually, everything in the card is wrong. Everything. So the weapons are bonkers. The number of abilities is completely insane. I mean, everything is wrong, and it's really funny. So playing Maggie right now from the app, it's a little bit of a challenge. It's something that we're going to work on our very first update of the app. So
come on, she's well balanced.
Oh yeah, no,
well balanced. 6 points has.
No, there is no game design excuse or anything. Everything is bonkers. The 24 assault phaser are just fantastic, and you have 6 of them, so you basically have 6 times 24 phasers that are all flames that cause 2 hits on each unit. I mean, they don't even cause damages because it's the wrong logo also on the damages.
It's completely normal for a woman.
Everything is wrong. It's yeah.
You've seen a woman get mad?
I mean, it's
legit.
And everything is flame also. So it's pretty cool, including the crossbow. So
that's right.
Really, it's a
flaming crossbow.
It's a beautiful card for 6 points. You should play 6 of them.
Well, the app would only let me add the 1. So
no, really, the card is completely wrong. So it's really a bug that is well known.
It is hilarious.
Oh yeah, this one is really it's one for the posterity. It's fantastic. So, but yeah, Maggie.
You go on the card, it should just play American Woman.
Yeah. But yeah, Maggie is really a fun character, a fun hero, short range, really fragile. So it's something that you're gonna have to play carefully. But I like to put her, for example, in an assault truck, because the assault truck also has a transportability, which is pretty fun, but only for 2 units. An amount of 2 for transport, so that means 2 miniatures. And you can put Maggie in an assault truck, drop her where she needs to be dropped, and because it's an assault truck, you can still shoot. And you can just either put her on an objective and use camo, and just look at your opponent rage about the fact that he cannot even shoot at them. Or you just use the crossbow and kill the enemy medic and the enemy officer when you need them. So it is a very nice unit that helps you really finish the job that the rest of your army already started. So it's something that I enjoy doing.
I actually the more that I look at them, there's the Desert Scorpions are definitely currently the smallest of the factions for the Allies.
Oh yeah, most definitely, yeah.
But they do have some fun stuff. Like I've gotten the trucks. Actually, I didn't realize that I couldn't when I was buying it that the mortar truck was only a Desert Scorpion.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of sad about that. I was like, oh, I was totally going to take it with my with my Marines. Who doesn't want a mortar truck to roll around? And that would seem to be something that the Marines would do. It's totally impractical, but you're strapping that mortar to your truck.
And every time you shoot, you have your Jeep going down, in the sand.
Exactly. But they don't care because they are burning the tires on the sand.
Exactly.
Carrying around. I've known way too many Marines. They would totally do that.
Yeah. It's really a fun faction. It has been a little bit delayed because we were actually supposed to release the starter set last year, but at the last minute we found a way to make the starter set completely in hard plastic. But it obviously delays production significantly, so they're going to be released this year in hard plastic. So you're going to have the first units in hard plastic in dust.
Awesome. And so that's also going to be the unit that has the first infantry one in it for the Desert Scorpions, right?
Exactly, yes.
So it's also going to have a fun little truck in it that we haven't talked about.
Mm-hmm. It's the truck with the recoilless rifle and
Oh no, we did talk about it. That's right. Yeah, it's going to have the dual recoilless rifle. Mm-hmm. So I guess the last question there is, who's the hero?
The hero is actually we actually showed the hero already on our Facebook page. It's going to be the guy that you see running with the claymore.
I don't think I've seen this guy yet. I must go and investigate this.
You have two sculpts of the same guy. One is going to be with the Bren rifle, and the other one with the claymore. One of them is going to be in the starter set. The other one is going to be our convention exclusive for Gamma. So,
nice.
If your retailer goes to Gamma, they will be able to grab this unit, to grab this exclusive sculpt, and do whatever they want with it.
So you mean I have to go, beg?
This is the moment to be really, really nice with David.
Well, since David knows what my new job is, he was already, hitting me up for some of the perks. So. Yeah. I guess I just have to say, how much is it really worth to you?
You're gonna exchange some miles for some minutes.
Exactly. Oh man! And now I saw cultists, and cultists are awesome.
Yeah. We will talk about the Cthulhu and mythos probably last, but yeah, we're gonna have a lot of things to say about it.
Definitely. Lots and lots of things to say about it. I don't quickly see the guy with the claymore, so oh well.
No, it's okay. It's a little buried, but when you go through the photos, you will be able to see it.
And I totally love the Greg and Izzy model. I think, like Diver, Greg and Izzy should also be willing to team up with the USMC. That has nothing to do with the fact that it's Gunner Ace or anything like that as a vehicle pilot.
Yes.
It's just that it's just such a cool model. Actually, it is a really cool model. I really do like the model, but I wouldn't mind having that Gunner Ace. Actually, I sent you a list that I built that had before I realized that Greg and Izzy were Desert Scorpion.
Mm-hmm.
That had Tom, Crazy Jim, Greg and Izzy. and a whole bunch of vehicles. I think those were the only, like non-vehicles in list.
Honestly, a lot of people are focusing on the faction bonus because 10 points are always attractive. But I find myself building a lot of lists where I don't take advantage of that, because sometimes countering the faction bonus for this kind of flexibility in my list is really worth it. And I would completely be comfortable with sacrificing the faction bonus to play some USMCs and have Greg and Easy in the list next to Crazy Jimmy. And that would make 2 vehicles that are really insanely good really fast. So I'm actually, I say that I would be ready to do that. It's because I'm actually working on the list right now with with some medium vehicle. Again, we're not talking about the platoons right now, but there's a platoon for the Allied medium vehicles. And this platoon is my favorite right now. I really enjoy playing it. And usually I play it either full USMC or full Rangers, but I'm starting to modify it a little bit to start introducing a little bit of everything, and putting Crazy Jimmy in a hot dog and Greg and Easy, for example, in a pounder. It really helps.
Oh yeah. Man.
A lot. So yeah, it's something that I'm really, actually right now I'm even introducing again the I forgot the name, the Cobra in my list. So Greg and Easy in a Cobra with a heavy phaser. That's a lot of fun. So.
In a Cobra.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
The medium walker with a phaser. The amphibious one. So
yeah.
But I always play amphibious because it has to be amphibious.
Yeah, it has to be, even if you're not going somewhere that's amphibious.
No, the rule is not on the card anymore. But when you bought the model, in the old box, it had the 2 floating devices on the side with the little propellers, and I put everything on the vehicle because really that makes it look even more badass. So.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I can understand that reasoning behind it.
Yeah. Always play, the nice miniatures, not the efficient ones. So yeah, that's the Allies in a nutshell, basically. So
it is, and there's a lot of differences in flavor, but they all kind of combine in mobility of some sort. They're always trying to be on the move.
Yes, it's exactly that. The motto of the Rangers is lead the way, and the whole on the move is really, Oscar Mike is really something that is a reality for the whole army. So,
and we had the discussion a little while back because all the vehicles for the Allies are usually the fastest vehicles in the game.
Yes.
But I was laughing at the fact that one of the reasons that they that the Marines say that they strip their vehicles down to the light versions is so that they go faster. And yes. I really got confused when I first got in the game, and I was looking at a pounder and a pounder light, and I'm like, they go the same speed.
Yes. The trade is in the level of armor and the point cost.
Yeah. I felt a little betrayed by that. I'm like, I thought you were going to go faster because you were light.
Yeah, sometimes the flavor text are deceiving.
Yes. But it is still a fast vehicle, and they are, really maneuverable and can wreck a lot of people's days.
Yeah, the turret, also the turret feature that is really something that the Allies use and abuse, are really comfortable when it comes to choosing targets. So it's something that is also that needs also to be taken into consideration when you look at the price of the vehicles. It's that you shoot 360 degrees.
Right. And actually that is something that I do pretty much continuously forget about because, I've just always been playing allies. I do branch out a little bit and play with some of the other factions, the PLA, being the one that, I like right now. And I don't even realize it until I go back to playing the allies and I'm like, oh yeah, I can just shoot over there.
Yes.
And I can shoot to my left now, and I can shoot straight in front of me.
Yeah, when you have, for example, a Mickey Light, you will be able to have your hull machine gun shooting at one target, your petard mortar shooting at another target, and then your heavy machine gun on the roof, on the turret also shooting at a third target. So it's not necessarily super efficient, but it brings a lot of possibilities to your game. It's really convenient, and it's really something that allies players need to remember when they play. It's to look everywhere all the time.
Yeah. One thing I noticed though as we were looking through is that Diver as a Desert Scorpion is actually kind of a lonely guy.
For the moment, yes, he's the only armor one. But that's the reason why we're going to release more units, armor one also, so that you can go with them. So it's going to make for some interesting choices. The leader of the Desert Scorpion starter set is going to be nice in the unit, but it's not necessarily obvious in a unit. So Diver will integrate the unit really with pleasure. So.
All right. So any last things you want to say about the allies?
As a blanket statement, always remember that the allies are all about give and take. You will never have a game that is easy. You will never have a game that is obviously a defeat. It's always something where you're going to have to sweat and to practice, because it's an army that is good all around. But it's also an army that makes you make choices that are sometimes hard, especially when you're used to something that is more glass cannon or, really archetypal in the gameplay. The allies are not archetypal. They can do a lot of things well, and it's something that needs to be remembered. But in my opinion, it's the most powerful army in the game.
Awesome. I would agree that it's the most powerful. I definitely agree that it has a lot of strength behind it, and I have thoroughly enjoyed it, even though I have some of my little heartaches over things that I just want just a little bit more out of. They still, I still have not been enamored by anything else in the game other than maybe Luftwaffe, just because rocket trooping, so everything, is kind of, crazy flying and all that.
Yeah, the Luftwaffe is super charismatic, so yeah, it's really hard to resist. I find myself tinkering a lot with the app, trying to find the right rocket and trooper platoon or a nice Fallschirmjäger army. We have Brian, actually, who is in charge of the Patriot program, who plays a Fallschirmjäger army that we will talk about when we deal with the Luftwaffe. But it's a very fun army that can really wreck your whole army round one, or just lose gloriously round two. So it's really funny. So yeah, I know the feeling. The Luftwaffe is really hard to resist, but indeed, the allies are really the faction of my heart. It's really something when I look at it, I'm like, yeah, I know that I want to play that often. So that's good.
Yeah, they're definitely a lot of fun.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I believe that'll bring us to the end of this episode, which I would say actually went a whole lot longer than our goal time, but you know what?
It's such a fascinating subject.
And it is. And, you know, every time I was like, all right, let's move on. I'm like, but I want to talk more about this and that. So, you know, I know that there is more to talk about. And, you know, as we dive more and more into these other blocks and, you know, then ultimately start talking about the platoons, there's going to be even more details that we get into and, you know, just more depth of, just the synergies. You know, we touched on a lot of it tonight, but you know, once the platoons come out, that'll really start to shine. So I'm definitely looking forward to it, because I also need to make sure that I build the Ultimate Marine list to wreck Jim. That is now the, you know, ultimate goal for this series is, you know, to wreck Jim.
It's the name of the operation. It's Operation Wreck Jim.
There we go. Changing the series now. It's Operation Wreck Jim.
Special show.
But all right. It has been once again a pleasure, and we will be back next week with Dust Boot Camp. And I believe next week, I don't know. I think I'll roll a die and, you know, figure out, you know, who we talk about next week.
I like that.
Make it keep everyone in suspense. So until next week, have a good dusty day.
Enjoy, people.